But I guarantee you last night, as he trudged off the pitch, even though his England had won, Harry Maguire didn't have much to be happy about. So what about Harry Maguire? Seemingly out of favour, and yet still at Manchester United. Not playing much, but still at Manchester United. But in the England squad, and featuring for England. So last night, England were looking good at half-time. Of course, they were cruise control for England. So Southgate puts Maguire on, and then he scores an own goal. Thereafter, of course, the critics of Maguire were out in force. Gareth Southgate addressed this post-match, and he said, no, it's not on. It's not on what Maguire gets. And he didn't hold back.
From a Scotland fan's point of view, I get it, and I've absolutely no complaints with what they did. It's a consequence of ridiculous treatment of him for a long period of time, frankly. And I think our fans recognised, OK, there might be a bit of heat from our own supporters, but we're not going to have it from others getting into him. But it's a joke. I've never known a player treated the way he is, not by the Scottish fans, by our own, commentators, pundits, whatever it is. They've created something that's beyond anything I've ever seen. He's been an absolute stalwart for us in the second most successful England team for decades. He's been an absolutely key part of that. I've talked about the importance of our senior players. He's been crucial amongst that. Every time he goes on the field, the resilience he shows, the balls he shows is absolutely incredible. So, he's a top player, and we're all with him, and our fans were brilliant with him tonight.
So he's talking about pundits.
This will go on for so long and so long. I don't think it will ever come to an end, but calling people a joke for demanding more from a person, I think it's a little bit crazy. The fact that Southgate came out, made a comment and said that to the people who are complaining and who are criticizing Harry Maguire, it's a joke. Okay, we'll take it. But you cannot call it to the pundits. Like I was just saying in the last video, this is what is happening. The player is not good for the level he is playing for. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He is just not good at the type of formation which he's playing for or at the level he's playing for. England and United, whatever you choose. And as much as Southgate is trying to come after the people who are giving their criticism and looking at the fact of what's happening at this moment, I feel like it's not fair also to the people who are doing their job. Because if their job is to come and give credits where it's due when players are performing, the pundits I'm talking, and give criticism whenever their players are not doing so well, then you are telling us that they're not supposed to be doing their job. That's exactly what you're saying. You are deciding to take the hate that the fans are going to put on, you are putting it on the pundits. And go straight to the core. Don't be calling upon the pundits. Call upon the supporters who are complaining. Because we all know that Manchester United fans are the ones who are creating this chaos. We all know that it is the England fans who are creating this chaos. But guess what? These are supporters who are expecting more from their players, and they're not getting that from the player you are choosing. So you see how this turns back and comes back to Southgate. Listen to what this Simon is about to say.
And commentators laying in to Maguire. Simon, in your view, a pundit's added to the fire here. Should they shoulder some of the blame?
I have to say I don't like what's going on with Maguire in terms of this scapegoating of him now. It's a terminology that was used inappropriately by Jadon Sancho, but is actually appropriate in this instance. There's one thing, this analysis, that people have issue about some of his performances and the fact that he's not playing regularly for his side. It's another thing turning it into a completely destructive mentality which has no benefit to anyone. I think some of it in part is to do with Southgate. I think there's a 50-50 split for some reason amongst English fans that are not having Southgate against those that are having. So the fact that Southgate keeps doubling down on picking a centre-back that some would say is not in form, some would say are not playing for Manchester United regularly, so he shouldn't be in the England side, some would say that he should change his circumstances, because if he really wants to change the direction of travel and people's perception, he needs to get out and play, and maybe he needs to sacrifice something, and that might well be his relationship with Manchester United and all that means, and maybe go to another football club where he dispels some of the mythology that's been built up around him, because he's not a bad player. I've been critical of him.
He's a good player.
I don't think he's a brilliant central defender. I don't think he's an £80 million central defender. I don't think he's been great in interviews. But I don't think he's a devil incarnate. I don't think he's one of the worst footballers to ever put a shirt on.
But you've also had a tilt at him.
I have, yeah.
Now, let me take you back to March. Harry Maguire, a mediocre centre-half who's being picked by a man who knows all about being a mediocre centre-half.
It's hardly.
Will again be on England's team sheet on Thursday.
That's not a go.
So
It's hardly an avalanche.
But is that
It's hardly an
constructive?
avalanche
Well,
of abuse.
I think it's a fair observation. I think he is a mediocre centre half. I don't think he's an awful centre half. I
You
don't think
famously said on this show he turns like an ocean liner.
I think that's a fair analysis at the time when in conjunction with the performance he was putting in at the time. He was poor. But to go on and turn it into a destructive, consistent ridiculing and parodying of the player, I'm not entirely sure why Gareth needed to address that yesterday, because the more you address it with a certain section of the audience that are not having Maguire, the more you're going to amplify it, because people are going to be defiant in their respect of what Gareth Southgate says, because they don't agree.
You could not address it, Simon, surely.
Well, you can. You can turn around and you can diminish the argument by not having it, by not giving it the credence. If you know what Harry Maguire represents and you're prepared to pick him, at the end of the day, dissenting voices and destructive voices in the background will only become louder and more vociferous the more you amplify it towards them, because there is an element of vitriol towards Southgate in that mix as well. Southgate doesn't come away from that. If there was a complete and utter buy-in to Southgate, then this would be less of an issue as well. So Southgate's part of this mix as well.
Yeah, well, I think there's a few factors here, and I actually thought Maguire did really well when he come on. There was nobody didn't give the ball away. The own goal was unlucky, could happen to anyone. There was no problem with his performance. I thought he dealt with it brilliantly, the stuff he was getting from the Scotland fans. But that's not really the big question here.
It's probably impossible to say an answer to this, but if he'd played from the start, would that own goal have happened?
Yeah. He's just in a position where he's trying to... The keeper doesn't shout. It's one of those things, Jim. Those type of own goals happen to everyone. But I don't mind, in a way, Gareth coming out and defending him a little bit. You could tell he was passionate. Whether it was right because it's going to create what Simon said or wrong, doesn't really matter. At least he showed some balls to come out and protect his player. So I think Maguire will appreciate that. And I don't think it's a bad thing.
And that's why he's done it.
And I don't think sometimes it's a bad thing for a manager to do that. From the whole barrage of stuff that's happened to Maguire from various angles, this started because United's own fans started booing the captain of their club. Now, I don't think that's ever going to end well for anybody. And they didn't, some of them, not all of them, of course, but some of them. And now, if your own fans are doing that, then it's going to spread, unfortunately. You're captain of one of the biggest clubs in the world. You are there to be shot at when you've been bought for the money you have. You're earning, what, £1 million a month. Social media has changed. Gareth can't live in the past and compare. Unfortunately, now, footballers, off the field and on the field, get more of a microscope on them than they ever have before because of social media and everybody talking. Every game, every performance, every pass, every mistake, everything. So, I remember...
But he's talking about pundits.
I'm going to get to that.
He's landed it at the pundits.
I know,
and
but
I don't understand
I'm telling
where
you...
he's going with it.
We haven't seen any evidence of that.
Well, my opinion is that the majority of stuff that Harry has had to deal with has come from the supporters of clubs. Not so much pundits and commentators, because I don't remember, like you two are just alluding to, somebody personally going for him and saying he's a crap player, because he's not. He's a good player. And he's played bloody well for England.
It's mediocre, harsh, albeit back in
Well,
March.
I don't know when the timing was, but at the timing, probably fair. Because his performances, and this is the other bit I've got to get to, Harry Maguire has dropped from his high level, especially for Man United, and dropped. And it became obvious. He was struggling. Whether it's confident, anyone's allowed to struggle and play badly. It just happened he was doing it in a Man United side that's worldwide, watched every game from all over the planet, and also in a team that was struggling. And he's captain for Man United. And do you know what the great thing about Maguire is? He never moans. You never see him moaning in the press. You never see him doing articles. Yeah, it might be affecting him, but he shows up. Every single time he shows up. Great resilience. And that's because he understands it. He gets it. It's just he'll get through it, but he does need to move and start playing somewhere else and
rebuild. But
rebuild.
do you think it is affecting him now, Dan?
Is
that why Southgate spoke post-match about him?
It can't not affect you in some form, but it's how big that is.
Well, if you're building a team and a team spirit and you're seeing one player being singled out and then you're seeing the opposition, being able to piggyback off the back of it and the opposition support being able to parody a player, you're smashing the Scots to oblivion and all they can do is take the mickey out of the central defender. That's their opportunity.
I think Gareth should have thought last night through better. I don't think he should have put him on.
So
He played him on the weekend. He
but
played
then
well.
Then what does that tell you? Because ultimately, then Southgate
It tells you nothing because we won't be talking about it now because he played on Saturday. You just rested him last night. You're playing a friendly you're playing a friendly side against Scotland. Cruising.
The next time, they didn't boo him. It wasn't the ridicule because of an own goal. That's just why does it have to be Harry Maguire? People that would be the reaction. My reaction when he conceded the own goal was not that it was Harry Maguire's fault. It was why does it have to be him? Because here it comes, right? And I have called him a mediocre centre half, and I will stand by that principle because I think there are better centre halves than Harry Maguire. With due respect to Steve Bruce. He was a mediocre centre-half at certain times, but he was a great leader. I'm not entirely sure that Harry Maguire is either. But this nature of what's going on with him is destructive and counterproductive. And Gareth aiming barbs at people that are easy, that are faceless, and he can't name because he doesn't know who he's talking about.
Well, he should dig out a couple of articles.
Suggesting pundits and commentators are the reason for this is slightly cowardly because he knows it's the fans. He knows that ultimately it's the Manchester United fans that started this wildfire. The England fans have jumped on it. The Scotland fans think it's funny to do in this particular game, and it's the fans. So he excuses the Scotland fans because he assumes that they've been given a pass for doing that because that's what you expect of away fans anyway. And the reality of it is, what he does is go for a soft target and blames the media.
And just quickly,
you're saying the Manchester United fans are the seed of this. I mean, there's one message: is Danny seriously blaming United fans because England fans are booing their own captain? You need to take your Liverpool glasses off. Says that Manchester United fan.
It's nothing to do with Liverpool. And let's just say
There's
something.
Another England fan.
Let's just say something else.
Stop telling us we have to like Maguire. He's just not that good.
No, that's fine. But let's just say something else. This has happened.
Not constructive.
This has happened to many players. I remember Titus Brambles for Ipswich.
Yeah, another average centre half.
Right. He came off the bench. He's been struggling. Makes mistakes. He was at Newcastle, Ipswich. I remember playing at Anfield where he came off the bench and Liverpool fans gave him a standing ovation. Because they wanted him on.
Yeah.
This is the type. John Barnes was my hero.
Yeah.
He got stick from England fans.
He did, you can't believe that. It's crazy.
He got hammered. Do you remember?
I remember. I was
John
Barnes.
This was before social media. One of the greatest talents this country's ever seen, getting hammered by England fans.
Yeah.
It happens.
But he has to affect change. Harry Maguire has to take control of his own destiny. And that would mean, in my mind, he's got to leave Manchester United, whether he likes it or he doesn't like it. He's got to accept that part of his career is over. He's got to change the direction of travel, for want of a better expression. He's got to change something around him. And if he continues as he is...
That's all he can change.
That's all he can change.
Then he can just concentrate on his football.
And then he can concentrate on his football. He can rebuild himself in an environment that might actually want him there, because clearly certain sections of the Man United fans don't.
It'd be a good addition somewhere, I'm telling you.
Well, let's throw it out there. I mean, this endless criticism of Harry Maguire. Booed by United fans, a section of. Booed by England fans, a section of. But Manchester United fans, did you start it all off? 03717 2233.
I made this very clear. It's not fair to call upon a pundit and say that they are not supposed to do their job, because that job, it's all to spend on TalkSport to talk about what players are doing. If they're doing bad or wrong, that's what they are there for. That will never change. The people who are calling after these fans are the Manchester United fans. And we all know that maybe they're getting their feed because also some players are complaining that they're doing better than this guy, but they're not being chosen for these positions you are giving in England squad. So you see where this thing keeps happening. But the problem is half-half, like Simon said, shared between Ten Hag and Maguire. Maguire should have taken control of his future when he had the chance to go to West Ham and leave Manchester United. Accept that this chapter of my life is over. They took out your captaincy. They're doing this. This was Eric Ten Hag making it clear to you that he doesn't want you at the club. You should have taken the hit, even though you're getting less money. Get the money and go, because where you're going to go, you're going to revive your career. And when you are chosen for England, we were all going to accept and say that you deserve to be chosen to be in England. Because here comes a manager in Southgate who's choosing you while you haven't even have minutes in your legs in the club football over players who are playing week in, week out for their teams. And this is what is creating this crazy chaos that we're talking about and what we're complaining about right now. It's crazy how Ten Hag is it's crazy how Southgate is expecting us to just say, okay, we are sorry, we are not supposed to be talking about your player, died Ten Hag and whatever. That's our job as the fans. We are here to do so. We created the Football Connected to talk about what we agree and don't agree about. But What's happening here? It's over the hill, and the fans of United have made you a villain, Maguire. And now the England fans are doing the same thing because they are not seeing you playing anyway. You know what you're supposed to do? Take the future in your hand. Go play for a smaller club, trying to regain and rebuild that fan base that will believe in you, so that when you are selected for England squad, people are celebrating. Am I being wrong? No. But people are going to come after me. They're going to come after everyone and say that we are choosing these ones and we're coming after him, which in effect of the matter is that it's not fair to both Harry Maguire and also the fans who are also experiencing this. It's not fair for both of us, because also we are all asking for change, and we don't think we'll get it with Southgate, and it doesn't look like it will come as well from the player if he continues playing at the level he's playing for. Man United, you're always going to be scapegoated and you never get game time. Go to West Ham, you get game time. Now I'm seeing some reports that the mother also said something about how much she's hurt about the criticism that the player. What do you expect a mother to say? She's seeing her son being attacked and accused every single time. It's crazy.